Going to go back and read our story so far. I'm not going to say on a rainy day down at the farm, a rat. I'm only going to say a rat or the rat. And the reason why is these are emergent level writers. We don't want a prepositional phrase or a couple of prepositional phrases at the beginning of a sentence. We want to keep the sentences simple noun-verb configurations because they're beginner writers. So we do need the setting in order to plan the next box, the action at the beginning of our story. We can't just say the rat. If I know it's rainy and the rat is over on a farm, that setting is going to help me come up with an action. That's why we put the setting in the box. It helps kids come up with better ideas. After we had our rat, step 1, we came up with our character and chose it on one of the picture boxes. Step 2, we had our setting and we had our when boxes and our where boxes. We chose our setting using these boxes. Step 3, so now I say to the kids, boys and girls, let's go to step 3. This is our second box here for our story opening. So we say, step 3, action! What is the rat doing on a rainy day down at the farm? So notice, I'm teaching them during this planning process of how to think when they plan a sentence. So many kids don't think about putting their sentences together so they're meaningful. They may just say the rat and not think that, oh, it's raining and he's on a farm, so his action needs to match that. They may have something like he's laying out in the sun that doesn't have anything to do with the setting. So you want them to start having that metacognitive thinking. What are you supposed to ask yourself when you are creating the action in this sentence? So we say, the rat. Notice we're going to act it out like the rat. We'll act out our sentence. The rat. Action. What is the rat doing on a rainy day down at the farm? So now I have the kids talk to each other really quickly and we come up with an idea. What if your kids don't have an idea? What if they're just sort of looking at you going, I don't know, he's just standing around? Then I take out my emotion cards. These are cards that have different emotions on them. And I'll say to a child, pick a card. Let's make it interesting. So if students don't have an idea, if they can't come up with a clever idea or something for that first action in their story, then I say, let's make it interesting. Let's choose one of our emotion cards. So I show it like a deck of cards, I give it to a student, and the student now will pick one of the cards. They pick a card. Ooh, the rat is mad. He's really mad. So it's rainy outside, he's down on the farm, and he's mad. What's happening that's making him mad? What did he do that made him mad? What happened to him that made him mad? So now I have the kids talk to each other. The emotion card, what happens is when characters go through stories, they do things or things happen to them and it creates an emotion. So if students can't come up with an idea in their story, have them pick an emotion card. So a student chose the angry card, the mad card, and they all spoke. What would happen to a rat if he was angry down on the farm on a rainy day? And one of the kids was talking about how he got soaking wet. So we're going to show the rain coming down. Here's the rat. And look at his eyes. He's really mad because why? He is soaking wet. So here's our sentence. The rat got wet. You say that, so watch what we're going to do. We're going to repeat the sentence using motions. A motion for the subject and a motion for the predicate. Our subject is the first box, our predicate is the second box. Here we go. The rat got wet. You say that. The rat got wet. There's our sentence. So we went through these steps in order to plan the sentence. I draw the box with the pictures up here. I'm the planner. I'm recording the plan, and the kids and I together are coming up with the story sentence. We have the rat got wet. Next, we'll go through the writing boxes to teach them how to write those words down in a sentence. And this will be the most important part of our lesson. Our story sentence is, the rat got wet. When the students and I are saying the sentence, we want to act out each part. So I chunk it together. I chunk the subject, the rat, and that's the first box, and then got wet, that's the second box, the predicate. So now we're going to go back and we're going to have a motion for the subject and a motion for the predicate. The rat got wet. The rat got wet. Boys and girls, you say the sentence. So now I'm watching and listening to see that they can say the sentence on their own before we get ready to write it out. Let's get started and write our sentence. We planned our story using our steps, our 4 steps, and this was for our story opening. So now we're going to write down our sentence. The rat got wet. Up on the top of the teacher page here, you will see the display of 4 boxes, a star with the word start under it, a person with their mouth open with the word say, then we have a pencil with the word hop, and then we have the last box with a hand snapping and slow-mo man in it with the word choose. These 4 boxes are your direct instruction steps that you will visually show to the students so that they will learn exactly what they need to do in order to write their sentence down. This is really what you're focusing on, to have the children master these steps. Together, we're all going to walk through these steps to write down the sentence. Up on my board, I have the pictures for the sentence. Now let's go over to page 79. The students have their blank book here. Remember, this is a stapled, 5 pages stapled together. They're going to be working on the first page. They will be writing on the bottom part the sentence, the rat got wet. We're all doing it together. When this story's done, this story sentence is done, then up on the top, they'll draw their own picture. Up on the top, we have our 4 boxes. Down here on the bottom, notice I have number 1 through 5. Number 1, I'm going to tell you about this first box. That means identify the beginning of a sentence. What I do is when students write down their sentence, the first word in their sentence, so this would be the rat got wet, everyone's going to be writing down the word the. After they write it down, I'll put a star underneath that first word in every student's book. And the reason for that is when you're writing a sentence, the first thing you do after you write the first word is you always go back to the beginning, say your sentence, and then you're going to hop in your sentence to figure out what the next word is to write. Now they need to learn how to always go back to the beginning of the sentence. So in order to do that, my prompt to them will be, put your pencil on the star. That's the beginning of the sentence. So I'm always going to say that to the students. Any word that we write in the sentence, when we're done with it, we need to go back to the beginning of the sentence. So I'll say, put your pencil on the star. That's the beginning of the sentence. That's where we will start. The next step in our direct instruction will be say the sentence. So every time they write down a word, they go back to the beginning, and what do? They say their sentence. It's really interesting because at this stage, remember, students are using every ounce of their brain in order to do this activity. This is all new to them. They're trying to write down letters and remember how to form them, snuggle the words together. They're doing all these different skills they have to remember. So when we say go back to the beginning of the sentence, say your sentence, after they finish writing down a word, like let's say they wrote down the word the, they may have used every ounce of energy to write the. When they go back to the beginning of the sentence and now they need to say the rat got wet, you will be surprised. There will be many children who will look at you like, oh, I forget what the sentence was, because they were focusing so much on writing the word the. So you always go back to the beginning of the sentence, say your sentence, the rat got wet. And they may need to act it out too. You may want to just do the visual cues, the rat got wet, and see if they can come up with the sentence. If not, then you jump in and you actually verbally say it with them. But you need to have them rehearse it a couple of times again so they have the sentence back. Now after they put their pencil on the star, they say their sentence. What's the next step they need to know is hop. Many teachers teach their students to do a 2-finger space, and there's nothing wrong with that, but what I found is this. When I have students in writing position, they write down a word, and then they go back to the beginning. They put their pencil on their star. They say their sentence, the rat got wet. And then when they go to read each word and then to write a new word and they have to put 2 fingers down, it becomes very difficult. What happens is you'll have some kids who put a pencil down, put their 2 fingers up, grab the pencil again, then their pencil isn't spacing. It becomes very confusing. The 2 fingers just makes it more that they have to manipulate on their paper. And they should just be able to hop from one word to the next. They should naturally be able to do that. And if they can't, then I'm going to jump in and I'm going to teach them how to do that without the fingers. So when we say hop, it means you're touching underneath each word as you read it, and then when you get to a spot where there's no words, then that's the new word you need to write. Go back to the beginning of the sentence. Put your pencil on the star. That's the beginning of the sentence. Say the sentence. That's where they're going to say the entire sentence. And if they're unable to say it, then you need to have them rehearse it again and practice with the physical cues so that they have that sentence in their mind again. If they don't know their sentence and they're trying to write a sentence, the whole lesson is fruitless. So we go back and we say the sentence to make sure they have it. We're going to space between the words. How are we going to do that? Hop. And then we stop when there's no longer a word, and that's the new word we need to write. What do we need to do there? We had step 3, which was hopping. Step 4 and 5 is going to be in the choose box. That's where they now have to decide, what kind of word is this? And this is what students learned at the pre-emergent stage. Words are either words you write as fast as a snap, that's one of our high frequency words, or it's a word that's not a snap word, so what do? We get out our slow-mo man and we say it slowly and we write down the sounds we hear, segmenting. So they have to decide, is that a snap word or am I using slow-mo man to write down those words? These are our steps that we use in order to teach kids how to write a sentence. Now that I reviewed these 4 picture boxes for you to teach your students how to write, we'll actually walk through how this would look. So on page 79, I'm going to be writing this down like the students would. So the first thing we do is they're in writing position. So now the students have their pencil ready, they have their other hand is flat on their paper, they're sitting up nice and tall, and they say, "The rat got wet." We go over to our page, and the teacher, look on page 79, I'm over here pointing to my page too. So we're going to all say the. So I point to my page and I go, "The." And the students point to their page, "The." And now I say, "Stop, boys and girls. Is the word the on our page?" No, it is not. We need to now write that down. Oh boy, is that a slow-mo word or is that a snap word? That's a snap word. So what do you need to do? They will take their chart, flip it over, find the word the, point to it, and now write it down on their page. So all the students are at the table. They flip their chart over, they find it, and I say, "Write it down." Before you write it down, how do those letters need to be? Far away or snuggled up? Snuggled up. All right, write it down. In the beginning, if the students just write it down with a lowercase, I'm fine with that because you'll see at the end of this lesson, I'll teach them capitalize the first word in the sentence. But at first, we're just going to write that word down, and then we'll learn that rule at the end of the lesson. So they write the word the. After each student, so every student is writing the on their page. When they finish writing it, I go around and I put a star underneath every student's first word. So now they know where the beginning of the sentence is.